This first video will cover the first topics in the inventory chapter, and I'm looking at the problem pages on page 345, but you should have already read pages 332 to 336, which explain about the different ways of putting a dollar amount to an inventory. The first method that you'll see on page 345 is the lower of cost or market, LCM. Cost price meaning the cost that the business paid for a particular item when they first purchased it to put in their inventory, and the market price would be the price that they would see on the most current price list that they happen to be looking at. And so lower of cost or market simply means that you're going to take the lower of the two prices here, cost or market, and you're going to multiply it by the quantity that you have on your shelves in the business. So extension simply means to multiply. So your first formula is going to be to take the quantity of the item and multiply and pick the lower of the cost or market and enter that number in. And you'll do the same all the way down that particular problem. The next problem, problem 2, is a similar problem, but you're going to do an extension at cost and do the extension at market as well. So at cost, simply take the quantity times the cost, and at the market price, again take the quantity, multiply it times the market price. Once again, you'll have to look at those two numbers and pick the lower of the two, and that's where the method comes from, the lower of cost or market. In this case, the cost is lower, so I'm going to click equals and click on that 1,440 and press enter, and that'll be the number that'll show up in the final column. And with any inventory record, you're always going to have totals, so when you get to the bottom line of any inventory spreadsheet, chances are you're going to have a total there, so be sure you're making use of the automatic sum feature that's up in the right hand corner of your screen. I've also mentioned here to use the if function. If you know how to use the if function, it can help you enter in one formula that'll actually look at these two columns and pick the lower of the two if you know how to structure an if function. If you're not familiar with it, don't worry about it. You can just do it manually. Okay, we're going to scroll down here, and if you're following along in your book, we're going to page 346, where we're going to take a look at three other methods. One is called average cost, and the other two are called FIFO and LFIO, and those terms mean first in, first out, last in, first out. Again, you can read about how these are calculated back in the chapter pages. But the average cost is fairly simple. If you'll put your cursor right below the total here on the total column, you're going to have to take the total of all of the items purchased and divide it by the total number of items that were purchased. And it's going to give you a dollar amount that's called the average for one item. Now that's not the answer to your problem over here, because now you have to understand that there are 3,500 items in your inventory. So the next step is to take 3,500 items and multiply times $6.12. So now we have an average cost number. First in, first out means that you're going to look at the first items that were brought in to the business beginning of the year. I'm just going to shade these here so you can see what I mean. So I'm going to shade all of these, and these will be the ones that were the first in and first out, meaning they've all been sold. Okay, so now we have to price out 3,500 items, and we have to start at the bottom of our list and work our way backwards. So the way to do a FIFO problem then with this kind of a little spreadsheet is to take a look at the number of items that were purchased on November 10, 2,500. They were purchased at $6.40 each, and that multiplies out to be $16,000. So I'm just simply going to take that $16,000, but that's only 2,500 items. I need to have 3,500, so I need to do an additional 1,000 items but I cannot use the $6.40. I now have to use the $6.20 because it's the next price range up. We already used all the $2,500 at the $6.40 level of pricing. So our formula for FIFO in this problem is to take the 16,000, which was this reference right here, plus 1,000 more items times $6.20. And if you enter that in, the FIFO inventory amount is 22,200. Now I'm going to remove the shading here on this part, and the last one we're going to take a look at is LFIO, last in, first out. So last in was all of this stuff here. I'm going to shade that, and actually I can shade this one right here too. And I'm looking to price out 3,500 items, and I see that there were 3,600 items that were bought on the 5th of January. So I can take the entire 3,500 items that are left in the inventory, and I can multiply them times the $6.20. Press enter, and now we have all three of these methods that we have done an inventory amount with. And you can see that they're all very similar. This is one thing that you might want to look for when you're doing these three methods. If one amount looks like it's way far off from the others, you've probably done something wrong. So that's average cost, FIFO, and LFIO. And you will have another problem to do down here in problem 4. You will have to do the multiplication here to get the total purchase column. And I'll just do the first one here for you. Units purchased here were 320. The unit cost was 420. And there's our total purchased for January 1. And you'll want to get all of those. You'll have to get totals down here and a total here so you can do your average cost. And then do it exactly the way that we did it up here in problem 3. So that is the discussion on LFIO, FIFO, and average cost. And just one more suggestion here. If you scroll all the way to the bottom of this spreadsheet, you'll find one more problem dealing with average cost, FIFO and LFIO, right at the bottom of the spreadsheet. It's problem number 10. So you might want to do that problem while everything is fresh in your mind. So this concludes our discussion on average cost, LFIO, and FIFO.